Hi, I'm Curious Vedanth, and welcome to season 2 of my podcast. Today, my guest is Lavanya Srikanth, who is doing her master's in biotechnology. She is a volunteer at Blue Cross of Hyderabad and Hedgeback, where she fosters cats and kittens. Hi, Lavanya. Welcome to my show.
Hi, Vedan. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome. This is going to be exciting. I've interviewed many people who love animals and who are animal experts.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of your episodes, Vedanta. They were very lovely.
Thanks. So, Lavanya, you rescued your first animal when you were in grade 10. That is just 7 years from what I am now. I am curious to know more about the rescue.
Yeah, so I was in the 10th standard, and there was this dog that I had spotted near my house who looked like he wasn't, feeling too well. And at the time, I didn't know much about shelters. I didn't know about, who comes and takes care of these animals when they're sick. I just knew that I wanted to do something to help the dog. So I found out the number for Blue Cross of Hyderabad from Google, and I called them and I said, "There's a dog here. Can you please help him?" So they were very kind enough to send their ambulance and come pick up the dog, and that's how my first rescue went. I think it was just me calling Blue Cross and them doing all the work. But yeah, it gave me some idea about the fact that people are there who are willing to help animals.
That must have been really hard, like calling them.
Yes, it was is something new for me at the time. But I'm glad that I did because it opened a world of possibilities for me. I learned that, just picking up a phone and calling somebody to rescue an animal is the first and the least thing that you could do. For my following rescues, I would actually, just put them in my car and, pester my parents to take me all the way to the shelter. And because I learned that the Blue Cross had only one ambulance, which they would send all over the city. So I thought, okay, let's reduce some of their work, and we can take this animal there ourselves. And the next step was, okay, Blue Cross is already having a lot of animals in their shelter. So if I find a sick animal, maybe I can just treat it at my home and release, him or her back onto the street once they're feeling better. So it taught me a lot, and I learned a lot from that one dog that I spotted that day.
Wow. Can you teach me how to do all of that?
Vedant, I think you are much ahead of me actually when I was your age. I think you're doing just fine. Your podcast is very informative. I think the thing that changes people is knowledge, and your podcast is doing an amazing job of interviewing so many people and talking about so many different things that I think you're definitely sparking a lot of interest in the minds of people who are listening to your podcast. So I think you're doing really well, Vedant.
Thank you. All right. How did you become vegan?
Okay, so I think for many people I know, as well as myself, veganism is something that is very, it's a foreign concept, and we all start off thinking, oh, I could never do this. So the first person who I knew was vegan, when she told me that she does not consume any animal products, be it dairy or meat, I said, "Oh wow! Like I don't think I could ever stay without having dairy." So and then cut to I think a year or two later, I was into animal welfare quite a lot. I was doing rescues, and I was connecting a lot with the animals on the street. And I attended this event called Honorary Animal Welfare Officer Training Program by the Humane Society International India, and a speaker called Miss Gauri Moleki had come to train us about how we can, help animals better. And she actually, spoke about the very sad condition of dairy animals in the dairy industry. And she said that you are connecting so much to animals on the street, to your cats and dogs, but cows also feel pain and suffering just like the cats and dogs do. And she played a couple of videos that were a little bit difficult to watch, but I was glad I did because I made that connection. And I think, since then I just kind of decided that, yeah, overnight I decided to go vegan, and it has been a rocky road. But I think, I think we should appreciate anybody who's, making any effort to either become vegetarian or vegan. The effort is what I appreciate after, so many years of being vegan. I think anybody who's willing to try, I think that's good enough.
I'm trying to become vegan, like slowly I'm stopping consuming dairy, but I still do consume cheese.
That's okay. I think, I think even progress, no matter how incremental or small, is still progress. So, one is still better than zero any day. And in fact, sometimes it is more sustainable in the long run. So I'm really glad that at such a young age you are so aware and actually making the effort, and I do applaud you for that, Vedant.
Thank you so much. What is spay and neutering? Why is it so important?
That's a wonderful question and a very important question. So, spay and neutering is basically it's a birth control surgery. It is done to ensure that the dogs and cats on the street and in our homes do not continue to have more puppies and kittens. This is very important because though puppies and kittens are very cute, especially the ones that are on the street, they don't have enough food, they don't have enough space to live. They face a lot of cruelty from people on the streets, and it is difficult for these dogs and cats to take care of their babies. They often end up dying, unfortunately, and there is a lot of suffering. So, if we get the dogs and cats, especially on the street and within our own homes, spayed and neutered, it prevents them from having a lot of puppies and kittens, and their health improves a lot. The health of the parent dogs and cats improves a lot, and also there are less puppies and kittens on the streets who are dying. So, there is less suffering all around. And if we prevent and if we get the our pets spayed and neutered, it helps us because we can adopt an animal from the street who would rather benefit from living in a warm home rather than breeding our own pets and adopting from there. So I think that is the ultimate solution to all the suffering that we see. Adoption, I say, is just like a band-aid. You can get kittens and puppies adopted how many ever you want, but until everybody is spayed and neutered, there's no real end to the suffering.
I encourage everyone to spay and neuter. How do you take care of cats and kittens when you foster them?
So, fostering is a process of taking care of an animal for a short period until they are independent enough and healthy enough to be adopted by their forever parent or their adopter. So I feel fostering is very important, even maybe more than adoption, because you take in an animal for a short period of time who doesn't have a home, and you socialize the kitten or puppy. You teach them how to live inside a home because many of them are from the street. So they maybe they do not know how to use the litter box, or they may have insects or fleas on them, or they may not be vaccinated. So you get them healthy and you get them ready for a home, and then you search for good people who are ready to adopt them. And it helps when you adopt from an adoption agency because your foster parent is always available on hand to clear any doubts that you may have about your kitten or puppy. And once the kitten or puppy is adopted, it gives us space to take in more little kittens or puppies who may not have parents and who may not be able to survive on the streets by themselves. So it does not require a lot. It just requires some space in your home, and some effort, and of course a little bit of financial input until the kitten or puppy is ready to be adopted. So fostering saves lives, and I feel even if people are not ready to adopt, they should definitely look into fostering, because that's one of the biggest services that you can do, for an orphan animal.
If you see someone hitting a dog or a cat out on the street, what do you do?
So I think the first thing to do would be to document it, to get evidence, and also, confront them parallelly. Call the police right away, dial 100, and let them know that there is a cruelty happening here, and because there are laws, not very strong laws, but there are laws in the country that say that it is illegal to kick or hurt any street animal. So get evidence and call the police. That's what I would say, and do follow up with the police and ensure that the person who was doing the crime is sufficiently reprimanded, so that they do not do it again.
Mhm. Yeah. How do you make sure the police know it's that person?
So that's where the documenting comes in. In these days of mobile phones and technology, it's super important to have everything, to have a record of everything. I think that would help the police a long way as well. There are many times where someone has been very mean and hurt an animal, and they put up the video on social media, and that has actually helped in many cases the police to trace the people and put them in jail.
Interesting. What is biotechnology?
So biotechnology is it's a hybrid field, I would say. It combines our view of our knowledge of biology, of biological systems, and it incorporates all the technological advances that we have to try and solve some of these biological issues. It helps us. It has helped us in our lives so much. So a very well-known example would be vaccines, which could have not been possible without biotechnology, and which are very very life-saving, including the COVID vaccine, which is hopefully soon to come out.
How do you plan to use biotechnology to help animals?
That's a great question, Vedant. I think there are two approaches that I see to this. The first thing is, unfortunately, today there are still a lot of animals that are being used in testing. There are a lot of animals that are losing their lives to science, just because scientists have been doing it a certain way all these years. So scientists, test a medicine on a rabbit maybe first, and if it is safe to use, then they use it on people. But as we research more, we get to know that that's not enough, and in fact, many times the medicines that are tested on rabbits may actually end up being harmful to people. So not only is this, a waste of time for the scientist, a waste of effort for the scientist who has conducted the experiment, but it's also a waste of the rabbit's life who died for no reason. So um, these days, scientists are much more open to looking at other ways to get results without using animals quite so much, because science has to have compassion. Otherwise, there is no point to whatever the science that we do. The second aspect, I think, would be to look at some ways to produce food. So, food scarcity is something that we are still contending with at a global level today. There are still so many people who are dying of hunger, and the present systems of agriculture are, they're very heavy for our planet. Our planet is not able to feed so many people. So, especially if you look at the meat industry, there are a lot of resources such as land, water, that go into producing very less amount of meat. So there is this amazing thing that biotechnologists have come up with, which is called, meat from cells of animals. So they take a little bit of cells from these animals and they give it all the right conditions to grow, and the cell actually grows and develops into meat, and it's actual meat that you get from actual animals, but without having to kill so many animals, and at a very less use of resources as well.
Dear listeners, if you want to know more about this topic, please listen to my interview with Varun Deshpande from Good Food Institute, India. You have a twin brother. Are you identical twins? How is it to grow up with a twin?
No, so we are not identical twins. We are fraternal twins. It has been very interesting growing up with a twin. So I think it's very similar to just having a sibling, except for the fact that they are in the same class as you throughout growing up. So all the milestones that you share, they're all together. And I think for a long time we would just fight a lot, like how siblings do. And uh, as we started growing up, he started becoming more of a friend rather than a sibling.
What are your hobbies?
So I'm kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. I do a little bit of everything, and I love watching movies, TV, and nothing that's too scary or that makes me sad. I like to watch things that are uplifting, and I love reading novels. I love listening to music. I sing, but I'm not a very good singer. And I'm not very I'm a little scared to go out of my comfort zone when I travel, but when I do travel, it ends up being a wonderful experience. So I guess I'd like to travel more and make that also one of my hobbies.
Even I like watching TV and singing and listening to music, but even though I haven't been singing that much.
Oh, that's lovely.
Thank you so much for coming on my show.
Thank you so much for having me, Vedant. It's been wonderful speaking to you.
Yeah, it's been wonderful. I really liked it. Dear listeners, follow my Facebook page, Curious Vedanth, to get updates on my upcoming episodes. To listen at leisure on your phone and get notified about future episodes, subscribe by searching for Curious Vedanth wherever you get your podcasts, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can also listen to my show on curiousvedanth.com. Thank you for listening to Curious Vedanth, and don't forget to rate and leave comments.